This video is about working with cold-backed horses. A horse that is cold-backed is one that goes to hump up or buck as soon as the rider gets on. So this video is done over 3 sessions with a horse, which took about a week. This is the initial time getting on this horse. Previously to this horse had taken off across the arena bucking when somebody went to get on. Here you can see right there he really scoots his butt a little bit, and because this is an issue that's had right when you get on, it's very hard to work on from the saddle, but working on it from the ground is much easier. Here I'm just checking the horse out first, seeing how he sends around me. He's just a little stiff, but he's not too bad, and he's sending around pretty smooth. He's not sticky, which I like. Now I am taking the flag and I'm just sort of irritating him in the saddle and right where my leg would fall. It's important there because when I get on, as soon as I'm on, there's pressure in those areas, even if it's a small amount of pressure, and I need to know that he can take that pressure. He handles it pretty well. Of course, it's always important to do both sides. Once again, just irritating right along that stirrup fender. I'm smacking the back of the saddle with the flag to make sure that he can be okay with a sloppier rider or somebody adjusting in the saddle. I'm also making sure to switch eyes with the flag and making sure that he's okay with that flag going from one side to the other, because that's a major thing. When I get on, I'm going to switch to being in both eyes. Here I am making sure to disengage his hindquarters, which is when the inside hind foot steps under them. He got weird when I did that, when I put a foot up in the stirrup in the beginning, and I want to make sure that that isn't an issue point and that he's okay with that on the ground. That way, if I do get in the saddle and need to disengage him or one rein stop him, I can. He does look pretty good here. He's a little choppy, which means it needs a little work, but it's not bad. Another important thing to do before you get on is to make sure, once again, they're okay with those stirrups flapping around. I'm making a lot of noise with them. I'm putting a lot of pressure on him. He's handling it pretty well right now. Even when I ask him to move, he's still sitting there going, yeah, this is fine. Yeah, he's aware of me and he's a little tight, but he's still not overly worried or concerned, and when I touch his flank there, it's still pretty loose and soft, meaning he's not overly tight. Once again, you always want to make sure you do everything on both sides, because that is how you cause other issues, especially if it is a switching eye issues, which it is with this horse. He doesn't like it when you switch eyes when you get on. It's really important to make sure you do things on both sides, because if you don't, then they end up desensitized to one side, and the other side they are still very sensitive on, and you can still spook them. You can see on this side that this horse is still a little bit more worried about me flapping that stirrup around, and I have to do it a couple more times. Another important thing is mounting from the fence. It gets them used to having somebody above them without somebody actually being on them. I make sure to pet a horse a lot when I'm doing this, just to make them feel comfortable and calm, and just let them know that everything's okay when I'm up there. I'm also going to take the flag here in a minute and start waving it around, getting him used to some added pressure while somebody's above him. Right now, though, I'm just petting him, letting him know everything's okay and that he doesn't need to be worried about me being above him. He's actually handling this very well. And I just take the flag, I pet him a little bit first, and then I start just waving it around, making sure that he's okay with things happening on his back. Because if I want to wave my arm up and down, say I'm waving to somebody across the arena, I don't want him to spook. Once again, I'm doing that switching eyes too by putting it on the side opposite me. He has to deal with me being on one side of him and the flag being on the other. And then I do the whole thing again with the bridle on, because I'm not going to get on him with just a halter. With the bridle on, I usually don't redo the flag, but I will go pet him all over again, make sure he's okay with the saddle moving, wiggle the stirrup on the off side so that he knows that I'm going to be switching eyes with my legs and prepare him for that. Right here, I'm actually sticking a foot in the stirrup and pushing down on it, making sure he's ready for that weight. And then I step on. You can see I take it nice and easy here, but he didn't lift his head. He doesn't look concerned or tight. And when I ask him to walk off, he does so nice and calm. This is the second session. Once again, I just start sending him around with the flag. I'm irritating areas that are a little bit sensitive for him, right where my legs are going to go, the seat of the saddle. I'm making sure he's okay with a lot of pressure in that area because that is an area where there is always going to be pressure. You can see he's still a little worried about this, but he's not pulling away from me as much as in the first day, and he's calming down quicker. His whole body's loosening, his head's coming down, and he's getting much calmer with this and much more relaxed. I do kind of tickle his ears with the flag here, and he doesn't like that, and I do know that is something I need to work on. Here, he's really not happy about this, but this is another important thing. I'm making a lot of noise with that flag right now, and I'm making sure he's okay with it. And you can see he actually does calm down from that. He really doesn't like it at first, and he's pretty worried about it. You can see his ears are up, his head's pretty towards me. I'm switching eyes and taking the flag down toward him pretty hard, but he does handle it and take it without freaking out. Another thing I decided to try with this horse today is the tarp. It's big, it's scary, and if he's worried about things being in the saddle, this is a very good indicator of that. You can see right now I'm just checking him out, making sure that he is okay with that tarp touching him all over his body, because if he's not, that is the first thing I need to work on. Once I know that, I can start switching eyes with him, especially in the saddle. I'm doing it right across the saddle right now, just switching eyes with him, making sure he's okay with getting low on the other side. There is something that some horses will do. They're okay standing still, but they're not when they're moving, and he's one that's like that. That's one reason I ask him to move. You can see here, when he's being asked to move, he's not too sure about that tarp. Right here, you can see him really start to get worried about it and come into me. I also shorten up on my lead rope a little bit there, keep his head tipped toward me to make sure he can't just shove that shoulder into me again. But he is pretty worried about that tarp switching eyes right there. And notice I don't release it either. I just keep messing with him there until he calms down and relaxes a little bit. And then I ask him to keep moving once I take it away too, because he doesn't just get to stop when I release. This is day 2 of me mounting up. You can see he's already quite a bit more relaxed with me being up on that fence. It's one of the reasons I like to pet him so much. They get used to being relaxed. They learn that's a spot that they get left alone and get released and get pet, and it's nice to be there. I do check him out a little bit again. Put my foot in the stirrup, put some weight in it, wiggle the saddle around on his back, play with that off stirrup, just to make sure he's prepared that I'm going to be moving around in that saddle, and he doesn't need to freak out about it. You can see today when I go to get on, he lifts his head a little bit, but he's not worried. He's much more relaxed, and he's much more ready to go. This is the third session. You can see already that he is much more relaxed. He's walking around me when I'm using the flag on him. His ears are up and on me, but he's not trotting. He does get a little faster pace sometimes, but whenever I tug on the lead rope just a little bit to bring him back to me, he comes right back to a walk. He's very focused on me and very with me. The right side he is a little bit more sensitive to, as he has been all along. He still does come back pretty easy. I give him a little tug on that lead rope, and he remembers that, oh yeah, nothing too bad is going on. Today I did mount him from the ground. He's been doing really good. You can tell his head came up a little bit, and he does walk off right away, but I'm okay with that. It was a nice soft walk off.